What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we are digging into a really provocative article from the Daily Beast that claims America is already a police state. Seriously, we're going to break down exactly how the author makes that argument, so let's get right into it. Oh, and hey, if you like what you see, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button.
So the author, a guy named David Rothkopf, kicks the whole thing off with this one single question, and it's a heavy one. Did you ever wonder what it would be like to live in a police state?
And his answer, just as blunt. He basically says you can stop wondering. Why? Because according to him, we're already there.
So, okay, how does he even begin to back that up? Well, his first big point is this. He argues the government itself has been turned into a weapon, something used to, settle scores and push a political agenda.
And for his prime example, he points to what he calls the MAGA occupation of Washington, D.C. He paints this picture of a flood of National Guard troops, specifically from red states, pouring into the Capitol and creating this really heavy, militarized vibe.
And he doesn't just make a vague claim, he names names. The article alleges that the new Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, was the one who ordered the troops to be armed. It says that VP J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller were celebrating it, calling it an invasion. And then it claims Donald Trump promised Chicago was next on the list. So the picture the author is painting here is of a coordinated effort coming right from the top.
All right, next up. The author shifts gears a little bit. He moves from this big show of force in the Capitol to what he describes as a pattern of targeting critics of the administration.
And the biggest, most high-profile example he gives? The FBI raid on John Bolton's house. The former national security advisor. Now, the official story was about mishandling classified documents. But the author argues, nah, the real reason was much simpler. Bolton had become a critic.
But according to the article, this thing with Bolton wasn't just the one-off. Nope. It was just the tip of the iceberg. The author then lays out this whole list of other people he claims were targeted. We're talking big names like James Comey and John Brennan, whistleblowers like Miles Taylor and Olivia Troy, even the head of the DIA and New York's AG. The argument is that this was a systematic campaign to shut down anyone who spoke out. Okay, so from targeting individuals, the author zooms out to his next huge claim, a direct assault on the entire legal system. The article really zeroes in on this claim from Trump that he is the nation's chief law enforcement officer. And as the author points out, the Attorney General at the time, Pam Bondi, didn't push back on that, even though legally that title is hers.
And this idea of reshaping the system, according to the article, goes straight into federal law enforcement agencies. It points to the new FBI director, Kash Patel, saying he's redirecting the whole agency toward a, quote, more Trumpian agenda. It also alleges that recruiting standards at the FBI were relaxed, something the author says we already saw happen at ICE.
So why relax those standards? What's the point? Well, the article offers a pretty explosive theory. It speculates that the whole goal is to recruit, and I'm quoting directly from the piece here, white supremacist, right-wing extremist thugs to enforce his will. Yeah, he really went there.
And just to make sure you understand how seriously he's taking this, the author makes what is easily his most controversial comparison. He brings up the Geheime Staatspolizei. You probably know them as the Gestapo. And he defines them right there in the article, a police force loyal to one leader used to target political enemies. It's a very stark, very deliberate historical parallel he's drawing.
So after painting this incredibly grim picture, the article does a major pivot. It switches from just diagnosing the problem to actually offering a prescription. It's not just about what's wrong, it's about what to do next.
And he frames this whole next section with a really simple but powerful question, one that you hear a lot in times of crisis. What is to be done?
So what's the answer? The author lays out a 4-step plan to fight back. Number 1, use the courts. Number 2, speak out, loud and clear. Number 3, take to the streets. And number 4, record and share everything. Basically document what he calls the actions of the administration's thugs.
And he wraps up this call to action with a super stark warning. He argues that there have to be consequences for the people he says have twisted the system. Because, in his words, without that accountability, the American experiment in democracy will be permanently over. Pretty heavy stuff.
Now, the author knows what some people might be thinking. Isn't this just a call for revenge, for retribution? But he argues, no, this is about justice. And that idea, that distinction, leaves us with the final big question of the piece. Where exactly is the line between the two?
So there you have it. That's our breakdown of this really intense article. But what do you think?
Do you buy the author's arguments? And what about that final question? Where do you draw the line between justice and retribution? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know what you think. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.